the new V2 version for the dual motor Arrma will have 4 SMC True Spec Extreme V2s. You'll have 2 of Castle Creations' new 1717 motors, and it will have 2 Castle Creations XLX2. More so, we will have a carbon fiber chassis and not an open wheel like the Limitless. This one will be a complete streamliner. Cool thing about it all is that we're going to build it together. Here we go. Alright, and before we start building this beast, we need some differentials. So a car that was never great, just cool, and we can probably take apart is the Something 8S. Something 8S, it's been fun, buddy. The Something 8S was a super cool concept, but like I said, it was never great. It was never spectacular. It was just a cool 150-mile-an-hour car, a cool GT attempt. Let's actually look at the inside real quick. It just bashed chassis. It was some custom red carbon fiber, TP Power 5660 1356 kV, one of my favorite motors. It had an XLX1 with some NTF fans and a nice cap pack. It was just never great. It was a good 150, 155 mile an hour car, but never great. Super custom, super cool idea, but it's time to go. The really good thing about the Something 8S is they have a really nice front and rear differential setup with hot racing, fully aluminum, and some scorched deflockers in it already with the shafts and everything. So being that the Something 8S was never really a great car, it was just a nice, good 150 mile an hour car. We're going to disassemble it, get rid of it, put all those parts aside for a different build, but we're going to use the entire front and the entire rear for our new world record dual motor RC car. So here we go. Let's take this car apart real quick. That shouldn't take long. Alright, so diffs are completely out. Something 8S is done. I will keep it just as it is right now. It'll probably be a nice off-road speedrunner or a basher at some point. Stay tuned when it comes to this one. Let's make those differential looks brand new. And we got both differential housing completely clean. Great opportunity, guys, when the diffs are completely out and not on the car's chassis, to make sure that your lockers or differential cups and everything are tight. Another thing that you guys can check while the diffs are completely out is the mesh between your ring gear and your input shaft. This is just a little bit too much, and it will be something that the car will have to struggle with when it actually drives. So I will have to open it and actually address that. That's a little bit too much. Mesh should be a little bit tighter. A great way to actually get our differential or locker outside of the car, or the housing rather, is to get these two shocks up a little bit, so you don't have to really take apart everything. Just these two little screws, we open them, we put the shocks upwards, and then we can actually pull our differentials. I'm going to show you how it's done. Guys, when everything is out, make sure that your bearings are in good standing here, both of them, and make sure that this is pretty loose. You don't want it to be too tight. This is how it should look. Okay, so based on how loose it was, I think 3 shims will do. I'm using Techno shims, and the comfortable thing about these is that they just slide on those cups. So I'm going to put 3 shims all the way back here. We're going to install that just to make sure that our mesh is proper, and then we're going to take it back out and try and put the axles. That looks and feel pretty good. Obviously, once we put the cap, it will press on this little body right here. But just to make sure, before we actually close everything, let's check out our mesh. A lot better. This is about what we want. Just a little bit. I hope you guys can hear it. Hold on. That is beautiful. This is exactly the mesh we want, and it took about 3 of those shims here on the left side just to bring the ring gear inside a little bit. Those are made by Techno. I also noticed that our nitro tubing was a little bit too much. It was pressing on those axles a little bit too much. So I'm just going to cut these just so they're a little bit smaller, and we're going to give it a shot right now. So we're going to put our nitro tubing inside here. We're going to make sure that our nitro tubing is sitting flat. And then we're going to put our axle and hold it in position. We're going to do about the same with the other one. So we're going to put our nitro tubing inside, making sure it sits flat, putting it just like so. So this is about our dampening for this rear differential, and then we're just going to put one of them here, one of them in the other side, and making sure that our shims that we just added are aligning in place just as such. And if they don't, we can rattle it around a little bit, move it a little bit. There we go. So now we have some nice dampening to our axles. We have 3 shims on the left side. We have much better mesh. We can close the differential, and obviously we're making sure that the resistance is not as high. Your differential should be super smooth and sound something like so. If you're putting your cover and it adds a lot of resistance, take the cover back off and Dremel here a little bit, just so it's not pressing as hard. What you're trying to do is to have 0 resistance, well, not 0 but close to it, for your car to actually propel those axles. Another thing that I want you guys to pay attention to, those rear A-arms over here in this connection, add about 2 spacers here. This will make the A-arm and this part super sturdy and together without just being loose. 2 spacers on the outside right here. Alright, so it seems like they forgot to put a hole here in the chassis for this part right here. So the way we're going to treat that is actually align that front hole, put this differential housing about where it's supposed to be. We're going to use a spring-loaded center punch, courtesy of my buddy Luke. We're going to make sure that we're about there, and then we're going to take it that exactly 1/4 inch that it's supposed to be in and just press it down. Now that we did, we've actually marked exactly where that hole should be, and it looks pretty centered if you ask my opinion. Let's give it a shot. Alright, and we got our hole made. Let's see if it works for us. Money. Okay, same process we did in the rear, we did to the front. Now I wanted to show you guys something, so I actually installed this front differential. Now if you install it flat without any wedge, you have that gap here. So we obviously need a wedge to kind of lift up that front piece. The problem is that I haven't received my wedge with this carbon fiber chassis. My buddy Connie is a master of 3D printing. We have a 12mm wedge, or height rather, and we have an 8mm. I'm going to make sure and see exactly which one is the one I want to use based on the angle. Seems like fitment is pretty spot on. Now guys, with using that 8mm wedge to install that front differential on the Arrma, limitless or infraction, no matter what you install it on, the front bumper will not work. So the front bumper, we will have to customize something, because now this is a lot thicker than it should be. It does sit, everything does kind of fit if you're forcing everything and drilling some things here and there, but if you're planning on buying the same exact chassis, I think Lee Wood is about to actually change the design just so it fits. It's something we're kind of working on, and I'm kind of showing him some pointers here and there, and he's tweaking it and making it perfect for you guys. But if you have the current version, it will not fit a normal bumper here. It will just not sit, it will not reach. So something to think about. We will have to customize something to make this dealio fit. But front, rear, installed, motors, here we go. Alright folks, so I think this is it for part 1. We got the motors installed, motor mount installed. This is the layout that I'm thinking about. Comment down below if you think there is a different layout that I should try with batteries and ESCs. Obviously we still have to install that servo over there, drive shaft, obviously the entire center spool and everything. So we still have a lot going on, but most of it will go on part 2 of this video. Comment down below with suggestions. If you guys found value in the video and you like it, please hit the thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, consider subscribing so you can follow that crazy build or my other videos. I'm Shifrin. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for staying all the way to the end. I'll see you in part 2. See you guys.